Hi, my name is Jerry Wierwille, and I'm the Director of Research at Spirit and Truth.
And I'm John Schoenheit, and I'm one of the founders of Spirit and Truth.
So John, we've known each other for quite a few years, haven't we?
Yeah.
Going on 10 or more now, isn't it?
Yeah, like 12.
Yeah. So do you remember the time when in 2013, I actually first called you up?
I absolutely remember it because it was just such a tug on my heart, because you're like, John, I will take you, you can be the guide, and I will take you on a journey. We'll do 6 weeks, and we'll do Israel, and we'll do Greece, and we'll do Turkey, and then we'll go over to Cyprus, and it was like
all expenses paid.
All expenses paid, and and I'm
too good to be true.
Well, except it was going to be 6 weeks, and I was working on this guy right here, the Revised English Version, and also I just couldn't take 6 weeks away from work. So, oh my gosh, dude, I remembered. I remember having to say no, and it was like, oh my gosh.
That was probably a tough decision, huh?
Yeah. But then in 2014, because I run the tours to Bible Lands, in 2014 we got a 2-week tour coming up, and I remember calling him and saying, I know you were just there. Do you want to go back? And thankfully you said yes. And that was just a fabulous time in the beginning of some really deep bonding. And then I remember we got together and shared pictures and, oh yeah.
But remember, I went over with you. I asked my dad for a little financial help because I'd spent all my money the previous year, because my dad told me hey, I know this guy and he's the best. And so he's like, his name is John Schoenheit. You should call him up and he'll take you around to the Bible Lands and teach you like nobody else. And you didn't come with me, so I went over by myself anyway. But then when you called again, my dad was like, no, you gotta go. So he helped me out. But then he also was like, you know what? You should also spend some more time over there. So if you remember, after the 2 weeks we spent together, I backpacked around the Mediterranean for the next 3 months.
I do remember that. Yeah. I had forgotten that.
Going to almost every place I could get my hands on in the New Testament. And it was the trip of a lifetime. But I remember when we were at the airport and you guys were flying back and I was getting ready to head off to Cyprus. You told me you wanted me to call you up when I got back because you wanted to work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have ever since then. I mean, you came on staff in the following year, didn't you? 2014.
We started working together.
We were working together.
Yeah, you had me working on some of the appendices for the REV.
Right.
And we did some, I came over a couple times from Ohio to Indiana at the office near Martinsville, and we worked together a couple weekends. And then I remember you wanted me to work with Spirit and Truth,
right.
On staff. And you and Dan Gallagher, and we talked. And I remember I proposed the idea of an internship. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that was what was that, that was early 2015.
Yeah, that would have been, yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I came over and you stuck me in the 3rd story of your big house on Fox Hollow.
I remember that. Yeah, you didn't have a place to live. You came over to intern and be on staff, but didn't have a place to live, so you lived with us.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I had the whole 3rd story to myself. I mean, you guys had an Airbnb up there, and I kind of occupied it for a month or two. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing, time to spend and get to work closely with you day in and day out, to get to know you more. So after you made the offer for me to come and be on staff at Spirit and Truth, I didn't even have to think twice about it. It was yes. I'd been in seminary and I'd been praying to God, like, God, what am I doing? I gotten a PhD in biomedical engineering, and my future was in science and biotech. And I just decided that, I had this passion for God and for His Word and to study it more deeply. And so this to me was an answer to many years of prayer. And so I moved over to Indiana in the summer of 2015 and started working with you in Spirit and Truth. And we began working on the 2nd edition of the REV. Right. And this has been one of the greatest blessings of my life.
Yeah, and the future is really bright I think for you, for Spirit and Truth, and for the REV. Because the readership keeps going up, And we just keep seeing the commentary grow and the translation become more and more accurate and more finely tuned. You know, and that brings up an interesting point that a lot of people aren't really aware of, because you think about versions like the King James Version, and yeah, it was first penned in 1611, but there were a number of revisions to the 1611. And even a modern version like the New American Standard, when it came out, it was the New American Standard 77, because that's when it came out. But then there was the New American Standard, I believe, 85. The New American Standard 85, where they went through and said, you know, we've got upgrades and we need to make these upgrades to bring this thing, what we keep learning about language and that kind of thing. And then they upgraded it again in 2020. So you could go to a used bookstore and you're looking at 3 New American Standards and they're all different. There's the 77 one, the 85 one, and the 2021. So if people say, well, you guys are, you know, kind of like touching up your Bible or something, how does that work? That's exactly how it works. We're learning more Greek, we're learning more in the Hebrew, we're learning more about the idioms. It wasn't that long ago that some of the cognate languages around the biblical world of the Bible were even deciphered. You know, it was Akkadian and Moabite in the 1800s, and Ugaritic wasn't deciphered till the 1930s. So we're still learning vocabulary, and that's allowing us to more finely tune the Bible. So we're very excited about the future of the REV, and we hope you guys are too.